like this timeline here.
Yeah.
Sweet.
All right, everybody, welcome to episode 29 of the Fantasy Timeline, a proud member of the Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network. Bill, how you doing, man?
Good. We were just talking about an auction I'm in, and they're so much fun, and that seems to be all the rage, what the kids are doing these days.
It's what they call lit. That's what I've heard in the streets.
Yep, lit AF.
So, yeah, auction. I mean, we're talking about them. I feel like every podcast has been talking about them, and now I just have I have this screaming in my head that I need to do an auction. So I'll probably be in one pretty soon. Do we have breaking news? Oh, maybe
Nope.
not. Okay. So it looks like it might have froze or something. Anyway, back to the back. So, Bill, you're doing good. I'm doing good. Let's get into the news. So it's been.
Well, Kent's here.
Yeah, I got frozen. It looked like it froze for a little bit, and we're back in business.
Okay, cool. Because it still looked frozen on my end, so I wasn't sure if we were gonna zap out or not. So obviously, guys, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Periscope, and you're watching us live, you see a very attractive man in our presence.
Ooh,
the one, the only Larry Monkey. Larry, how you doing, man?
I am great. I'm very happy to be here. It's you guys started up, and I jump in and listen, and sometimes I catch the YouTube. So yeah, man, I really dig what you guys do, and I was excited to come on when I think I don't know if you put out a message, or maybe I invited myself. I don't remember, but yeah, man, I'm really happy to be here, drinking a beer.
Right on.
Now, Larry, I don't usually ask our guests too many questions up front, but I see something in the background, and I want to know: is that the Dynasty Trades HQ?
Would that be this?
Is that what you're flaunting right now?
That is the Dynasty Trades HQ, HQ1. You got to be specific because there's so many of those leagues now. This is the inaugural Dynasty Trades HQ Listener League, 16-team Superflex tight end premium victory belt. Yes.
So for all the people that either aren't watching or listening to this on pod, Larry and I are in Dynasty Trades HQ1 together. I always call it the OG. Oh, now he's lifting the belt up and taunting me.
This is like
it's sharp.
This is like operating heavy machinery when you put this thing on, man. This is like you could really do some damage to somebody with this thing. This is no joke, this belt.
So when I win it next year, Larry's gonna swerve me and hit me in the back of the head with it and knock me straight out.
Listen, but, I hope you win it and not Manolo, because I don't want to pay shipping on this thing, man. That guy's in Denmark.
Yeah, brother, I'm right outside of Philly. I'll drive to your house and pick it up.
Yeah,
not that far
totally.
Away.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so now we got kind of a little bit of that foolishness out of the way. Let's get to the news, and guys, it's been action packed. Larry, your hometown squad, the New York Jets, signed Joe Flacco to a 1 year, $1.5 million contract. Any dynasty fantasy outlook you want to put on that?
I mean, he's not going to be ready for week one. That's already been determined. He's already come out and said that he's not going to be ready for week one. Listen, if you are in a 16-team Superflex league, that is probably that's the only place where Flacco will probably be owned. I mean, I don't know. I hope he doesn't see the field, honestly. I don't mind the signing. I think it's a great signing just in terms of having a veteran presence, because we all saw what happened last year. They went through I think they were on their fourth quarterback by week 3 or something like that. And the season was just a mess. But yeah, signing Flacco is completely harmless. He's on a cheap deal. Who knows? I mean, it appears he doesn't have the attitude he had when, because he always comes across as like, well, he's, Joe Flacco, I don't have to do this or that. Now he's the broken Joe Flacco that's just, he'll get a job anywhere, so he doesn't have to go too far. He just got to come up the turnpike here. And I'm sure he's, he paid me $1.5 million. I mean, he's made enough money. I'm sure he just wants to put on a uniform and stand on the sidelines at this point. But, there could be worse signings. But, yeah, I mean, it's Joe Flacco. He's completely worthless unless you're in, like, some ridiculous, like I said, 16-team league.
You agree, Bill?
Oh, yeah. I had him in a 14-team league and dumped him, and I have no regrets, even with this news. I mean, it's just like, what are the odds of him even playing? He'll probably end up on the PUP, is my bet.
Yeah.
And so he's already missing half the season. And, I'm sure he's probably more in this as potentially just an emergency second half kind of guy. And I'm not going to waste any roster spot on him unless, like Ken said, it's just a huge super flex, with a ton of teams.
Yeah, I agree. You guys nailed it on the head, and honestly, did not even expect to talk about Joe Flacco as much as we did. So go us. And another big-time signing this past week, Carlos Hyde signs a 1-year deal with the Seahawks after Devonta Freeman says no thanks. First of all, I don't know what the hell Devonta Freeman's thinking. Like, he's got a bunch of job offers, but hey, do you, my man? So I think this might be a little bit more interesting than Joe Flacco. What do you guys think about Hyde for your dynasty teams?
I mean, I guess you can write off Travis Homer. I mean, that ship has sailed, I would think, right?
Yep.
And I mean, the Seattle backfield is always kind of broken outside. I mean, are they even bringing Lynch back too? I mean, who knows? I mean, I think I almost think Pete Carroll just wants to bring in these guys because he can't keep any of them healthy, and so let's just throw it against the wall and see if any of these guys is going to stick. I mean, is Penny going to be ready when he comes back? Is he going to be in shape? Because he has that that follows him around a little bit. Thanks when he was a rookie. And Chris Carson. I mean, are there any Chris Carson fans out there anymore? Are you guys on the Chris Carson bandwagon? I mean, I liked him when he was in the preseason. I picked him up in a dynasty league off waivers just by watch. That's why it's important to watch these preseason games, because you get to see these, second, third, fourth, fifth stringers, these, running. And he looks really good as a rookie in the preseason, and I picked him up and I ended up I had to drop him because of the league settings I was in. It's a 22-man roster spot, but I was just like, I just liked him. I just didn't have room for him, so I had to drop him. But yeah, he's he good for him. I mean, and thankfully the Seahawks or Pete Carroll, I guess you could say, doesn't necessarily take into account that draft capital that they spend on their players. But who knows? This could be, DJ Dallas season by week 4 or 5, or even week 1 if any of these, because Hyde's not even healthy, right?
Right.
He's coming off some kind of surgery or something like that. But,
what about you? What about you, Bill? What's your Hyde outlook?
I mean, he's interesting. More interesting than Flacco. But yeah, because you just don't know who's going to end up the starter. I mean, we already know that Penny's has a pretty messed up knee. So
hold on a second. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
I got the. Sorry about that. My phone. I opened up YouTube on my phone and it went right to this podcast.
Your phone's smart.
There you go. It's a smart.
There you
phone.
Go. So yeah, I think Hyde. He has a shot. I mean, we don't know the health of any of these guys, and they obviously need a running back, and they know they needed a running back because they've been, trying to sign all these veteran running backs. So, I mean, there's something there. Does he end up getting a decent share? Maybe. But with all of these guys having health issues, there is the chance. I mean, he's a flyer, like just to throw on the end of the bench kind of thing and see what happens.
1,000-yard rusher last season. I mean, he's always kind of been consistent when he's been healthy. So who knows?
Now, I was listening to a podcast today. I can't recall which one, and they were talking about that Homer is probably going to be more like because he's a return guy, and so like that's probably going to be his special teams kind of guy, and that's his role, and then if they really need somebody, he can step up kind of like he did last year. So I mean, that kind of means that like probably Dallas. I mean, is he a decent receiver? I think he is. So, like, I mean, he's going to be their third down back potentially, and if you're not sure with Carson, having Hyde as the backup, maybe that's worth something.
Yeah, and we're going to get into this a little bit more when we start talking about what we've seen on the timeline. But I think we tackled all the main talking points with Carlos Hyde. And before we get into the timeline, just want to talk about Scott Fishbowl 10 SFBX. If you're on Twitter, as all of you guys probably are, you've seen the hashtags. Maybe you've got your invite, maybe you haven't. I'm proud to say that our co-leaders, Dynasty Outhouse and Meatloaf Wildcat himself, have received their invitations. And I'm calling it right now. The winner of Scott Fishbowl 10 received his invitation. My main man, Bill, he got his invite. So we currently have one half of the DAP network in there. And you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm not in. Not yet anyway. I'm guaranteeing a DAP network victory. So one of those three guys are going to win it. And I mean, if I get my invite, I definitely will win it. So there
you go.
We have it covered. So
that's like guaranteeing the main event of the World Series of Poker.
That's right.
Winning that.
I'll do that too. Just someone front me the $10,000 that I need. But no, honestly, all joking and all kidding aside, Scott Fishbowl every year it's great, and it's not great because it's the biggest tournament in fantasy football probably, but I mean it's what it's all about. Money for Toys for Tots. I've just not only been watching people excited about getting their Scott Fishbowl invitations, but seeing them donating not only to Scott and Fantasy Cares, but also donating to all kinds of other different charities. I mean, this is what the fantasy community is all about. It's just people coming together and doing some real good. And Scott is at the head of that. So, I get so excited when I see guys like Bill and Russ and Brian get their invites. And honestly, anytime someone comes by my timeline and they have a Scott, they put their the picture of their Scott Fishbowl invitation, I give it a like because I'm excited for every single person that gets in. I think it's 1,200 people are going to get in this year. So
yeah,
and that's awesome. And if for some reason you haven't signed up yet, they are actually still taking signups because I checked it right before we went live. Go to scottfishbowl.com, apply. Who knows? Maybe it's not the early bird who gets the worm. Maybe the late bird will get a couple worms out here and get their shot. And I mean, it's crazy because not only is it guys like us who get in and get to play, but you see your Matthew Berries get in. You see big time fantasy guy Elvin Silva. Those guys get in. You see athletes, actors. It's just from normal everyday guys like us to the biggest titans of fantasy in Hollywood are in there. And every year it's cool to see the progression and see it get down to the final final four, and then the final guy who's sitting there standing. We've had a former Scott Fishbowl winner on this show, Sam Lane, aka Stompy. He won Scott Fishbowl 8, and it's just a good time, man. So, if you've already signed up, you know, and gotten that invitation, and I haven't liked it already, congratulations. I'm happy for you. And also on top of that, John Bosch is doing his eliminators again this year, and the eliminators are really cool. You get 16 people. Lowest score every week gets bounced until there's one team left standing. So Bill and I are hoping to do one for the fantasy timeline this year. So we're going to shoot out a tweet tomorrow. If you're listening to this, keep an eye out for that. That's gonna drop about noontime. And just respond to the tweet and say you want in. As soon as we get 10 guys, John will set up a eliminator for us, and you guys will be going up against Bill and I. As we all know, Bill is the brains behind this operation, so you'll be going up against Bill and his big brain, and I'll just take credit for it when we win. But it's, I believe, $10 a team. Half of that money goes against a fantasy carrier. So not only is it a good time, but we're helping out fantasy carriers and all the good stuff that they do. So I think that's it. I think I nailed all the big time talking points when it comes to that. So let's get to what we saw on the timeline. So guys, we were talking about Carlos Hyde and Nick DeJong. I hope I said your name right. At Nick Dynasty FF. He says, you own Chris Carson. Another owner offers you both Hyde and Penny as insurance. What are you paying to acquire both? And he has 4 choices, anything from a 2021 first, second, third, or fourth. So, Larry, since you're our guest, what would you pay to acquire both of those guys if you're the Chris Carson owner?
So I'm acquiring Penny and Hyde. So I'm rostering the whole pretty much the whole Seattle backfield.
You probably drafted DJ Dallas too.
Yeah, right. I'm a big Seattle fan. I'm Dynasty Ad House. So let's see. It depends how deep the benches are. I'm not a big handcuff guy. Mm-hmm. Not until the playoffs start, at least. So, but I mean, if we are talking Dynasty, and depending on how, it all depends on how deep your benches are. So I'm probably not as interested. Oh, geez, it is really tough. I also don't like spending picks like draft capital. Mm-hmm. So I mean, somebody like me I'm not going to give you, what has Penny really done? I mean, he's barely flashed, outside. I mean, every time he runs, or it seems that when I was watching the Seahawks, he'd break a couple of nice runs, and then he'd like come up limping or something, and he'd be limping off into the locker room, and you're like, Penny, Carlos Hyde is just like we just talked about him. He's just like a mediocre blah, None of these guys I don't think are going to win you your league. I mean, if you're a diehard Seattle guy and you have to own the main guy, I'm probably giving the least amount. I'm trying to get as I'm trying. I don't want to I'm not overpaying by any means.
Right.
So I saw the poll. I think. I would probably. I'd easily give a third for those guys. I would give a third without even hesitation if I had the roster space. I don't know. I wouldn't give a second for Penny. I don't even include Hyde in this conversation. It's more about Penny, just because of the youth and the fact that he hasn't really been given a solid. He really hasn't had a solid full season to kind of show his stuff and been healthy and this and that. So. And again, if you're talking to a Seattle Seahawks fan, they might want to offer up a little bit more, but I'm not paying more than a third for Penny at this point. Just with the volume of running backs that are entering the league right now, they're, and you have the DJ Dallas, so who's going? What is he? A late third, early fourth round pick in rookie drafts. So I mean. and that's the other thing with Pete Carroll. He doesn't really care about draft capital. So you're paying for Penny and Hyde for Dallas could be the guy, DJ
Right.
Dallas. So I don't want to I definitely do not want to overspend. The Seattle backfield has never really been anything, outside of Marshawn Lynch. So I don't know. I'd give a third.
What about you, Bill?
Yeah, I think the most I'd pay is like 2/3 if I, really felt like. I mean, I know that wasn't an option, but I'm not paying a second.
I agree,
just
Bill.
because,
I think 2/3, yeah.
Just because I'm not gonna. It's the roster space you're gonna have to use, and that's a cost when you're adding 2 more that you're not even necessarily sure that those guys are gonna play. And you have to have something else happen for those guys to have any sort of value. And it's not like they have promising futures either. So that's like all of those things combined. All you're doing is like going for this big handcuff and hope that one of those guys ends up with a starting job and that you're able to know which games those guys are going to have the starting job. And I think you kind of do that with the way that they run their team. They don't normally just rotate a guy because they just kind of stick with their main guy. So, I mean, I guess that's a good thing about it. But, I mean, those are 2 guys. I mean, Penny could potentially end up, becoming something. But, it's getting further and further away from the draft. And you can't really be saying, well, he's a first-round pick. I mean, at this point, he's just another NFL player that hasn't really – burst onto the scene. So I'm probably honestly not even making the trade unless I'm really hard up for running backs, and then I'm okay doing that trade.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this and honestly, I put a 4th. I mean, what are we doing with these guys? I mean, Rashad Penny looks like he might start the season on the pup. So now I don't even have him doing anything for the first 6 weeks of the season. Carlos Hyde, I don't think does much unless Chris Carson goes down or there's, big time fumbling issues from him. Like I think Larry said, it could be DJ Dallas season for all we know. And why am I giving up a 4th that I could probably use in a trade later on to sweeten some deal to get a running back or a wide receiver I actually like? And, what is Rashad Penny? I mean, I was looking at this last night. I couldn't sleep. Do you know that if you started Rashad Penny against Dion Lewis for the last 2 years every week, Dion Lewis would have done more for your dynasty team than Rashad Penny? Lamar Miller didn't even play last year. Even starting him every week for the last 2 years, Lamar Miller would have done more.
Oh, that's gross
For your dynasty. And
I'm disgusted by that stat just there. Now I won't even give a third.
and that's
Seriously.
that's what I'm saying. Like Dion Lewis is going, I think 20 spots later, just in running back rankings, past Rashad Penny, and he's done way more in the last 2 years than Rashad Penny has done. So this is why I'm saying a 4th. Like, hey, if you're trying to give these guys away, all right, I'll throw you a 4th, but I'm not throwing you a 3rd that can, possibly be just that little sweetener I need to get a deal done that gets me a guy or multiple guys that I actually like.
You know what? It's like the Seattle backfield is like you're gambling on penny stocks. You're okay. So let me get all these guys. I mean, let me give a 3rd and get Hyde and Penny, and one of them hits, then boom, then you can sell them off at their ceiling, or if they have a good game,
Yeah.
you get rid of them. Maybe you get something better, but I don't think you're ever going to get anything higher than a 3rd for any of those guys at this point.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It's more like Rashad Penny stocks, if you will. So,
hey!
I mean, Nick, I think we pretty much agree. A 3rd, a 4th. I mean, if you have to have those guys, I think Bill nailed it though. This ain't a trade I'm making unless this guy is desperate. And if he's desperate, you can probably snag them both for fourth in that situation. So
yeah, it's nice to hoard running backs. You can hoard running backs, because they're always going to get a shot. I mean, how many running backs?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have like a 30-man roster or something like that, I mean, it's way more palatable.
Right.
If you have like a 22-man, I mean, they're not even doing it
for sure. So
enough of this shit.
Yeah.
Fucking A. Can I say that? That's a fucking A.
Oh, you can say whatever you want, man.
Hold on, I gotta time it.
Yeah, you're the editor, Bill. You hate editing. You don't want to edit.
That's right.
So I want to touch on this trade that made it onto Twitter. It's from our boy Jerry O'Shea at Jerry Shea.
Jerry's the man.
He's in the chat.
Yeah. All right, Jerry, man.
Jerry's in the chat. Jerry is the man. Jerry is honestly one of the nicest, most genuine dudes, and he's always out there. I see him on Twitter all the time. He's definitely what do they say? One of the friends of the show, if you will. So he made a trade with my man Bill last week. So this is a super flex 12-team league. Tyreek Hill or Austin Eckler and Stephon Diggs. So Larry, I'll let you go first again. We're gonna let Bill go last since he was part of this trade. And what do you like? Do you like Hill or you side of Eckler and Diggs?
I'm on the Hill side, and I'm on the Hill side because Tyreek Hill's a stud. He plays on the best offense in football. Pat Mahomes is his quarterback. Austin Eckler and Diggs. They're both Diggs is a kind of a polarizing guy. It's a relatively even deal. It's like pick your poison. I personally would like to. I mean, again, it also depends on roster. What are the requirements? Are we doing start how many? Because that's important too. How many starters? Is you start
10?
Start 10. No kicker, no D. Start 10.
Correct.
Right.
Yep. Super flex.
So I don't know. I mean, I like the stud. I mean, Eckler, I've never been a big Eckler guy. I know that he went berserk last year in Gordon's absence and then kind of took the reins, and now he's supposed to be the guy. That's a lot of pressure for him too. I don't even know what kind of draft capital he has, Eckler, when he came into the league.
He was a undrafted free agent.
Yeah, I'm a big draft capital guy. I don't know. I'm always throwing out what he was. He has that second round draft capital. That's me. That's my argument all the time. Eckler, he's great, and he catches the ball, and he had a great season. I'm not a big Eckler guy. I know that everybody loves Eckler, but I don't. And okay, so let's move over to Diggs. And I'm not a Diggs guy, so I mean it's all personal preference too.
So that answers the question.
You might like, yeah, that answers the question. I like the Tyreek Hill side. Not that I'm a big Tyreek Hill fan, but he's the stud in the high-powered offense. Diggs, I mean, I've been a proponent of Diggs on the Bills because I feel like he's now the man. He's Diggs, and he's got Josh Allen, the big strong arm quarterback, and they paid a ransom to get him, so they're gonna funnel the ball through Diggs. So I feel like I like Diggs in Buffalo, quite honestly, but I just think Tyreek Hill has the resume, and he's in that offense. You know what you're getting with him. I know he missed some time last year with injuries, and he still had a decent year. I like the Hillside.
Yeah, I agree with you, Larry. I'm Team Tyreek Hill here. Look, it's like you said, it's all about personal preference. I think the Eckler Diggs side has a lot of question marks. Eckler lost Rivers, who was kind of a check down Charlie last year. Diggs is going to Buffalo. He's got to learn a new offense. They are a very run-heavy team, which, and I know Minnesota was a little bit last year too, but I think you're going to see very similar production from Diggs in Buffalo as you did from Diggs in Minnesota. So if you were a fan of his production, and that's always polarizing, some people loved his production, some people didn't like his production. I was on the latter side. I wasn't always a huge fan of his production in Minnesota. So yeah, I'm going with Hill. Nothing has changed for Hill. Mahomes is still there. Andy Reid's still there. All the weapons are still there. I mean, they got better with CEH taking more of the defense away from him. So I'll take any guy whose nicknames include the Freak and Gazelle. You can give me that guy, and we'll go to town. We'll go to town. So Bill, let's hear a little insight on this trade now that we've given our 2 cents.
Yeah, so I got the Hillside. The way I've kind of built this team, I ended up with a lot of kind of depth at the wide receiver. And so it was one of those things where I always run into this because that's kind of my natural frequency, is to build depth. That, like, I'm trying to like break away from that a little bit and try to like just increase my starters as much as I can without, just destroying my depth. So my thought is kind of what you guys are talking about with Eckler. I don't think we're going to ever see him be at the same level he was last year. I mean, I think he's got a really good floor. Like I don't think that, like, I mean, we've seen that he's like the premier third down, receiving back. So, I mean, aside from CMC, but like, I mean, he's, for his role, he's probably the best at it in the NFL. And, the draft capital, once they've shown that they're able to contribute, multiple seasons, I don't even worry about that. Diggs, this trade was almost like a buy low and high kind of thing. Like Jerry bought Eckler high, and he probably bought Diggs low,
right?
Just because people remember last year, and it's not like it's a super intriguing, high potent offense this year. So he could end up being the guy though, because he's there's nobody else that can play the role that he does. And the John Brown is a little bit more of like the speed guy. He can do a little bit of intermittent or intermediate routes and that sort of thing, but Diggs is a different level compared to him. So he's going to have that role. It's just a matter of is the quarterback accurate enough to where he's not going to get completely frustrated. And that's the big thing. And Jerry is not a fan of this show after getting hammered for getting the Eckler.
Jerry, there's nothing wrong with the deal. We're just picking sides. That's all, my man. That's all. It could work. Diggs could could blow up this year. You never know.
Well, and if you look at it this way, I mean, it's almost certain that those two players will outscore Tyreek Hill.
Yes.
So, I mean, if Jerry doesn't have the depth, he's just helped himself.
Not to mention, don't forget, Tyreek could punch his girlfriend in the face at any time.
Absolutely. And there is that's that risk. I mean, 100%, that's a risk that, people forget about that stuff so quickly and easily. Mm-hmm. And I told myself I will not get into those situations again, because I fell into it with Kareem Hunt. I fell into it with Tyreek Hill the first time, but like that's a risk that has to be taken into account. And even these rumors of what happened last year, everybody freaked out and his value just plummeted.
It was last year at this time, I think. It was like right around this time last year. Tyreek Hill, no one was touching him.
Yeah, people are paying second rounders for him.
Yeah.
Yep. So, like, that's the kind of risk that you have with Tyreek. But I'm happy because I had the depth. And so I think it made sense for both of us just based on our team. Jerry took this team over this offseason as an orphan.
Nice.
So so that's another thing, is he's kind of like, moving parts around and trying to make things work. And speaking of that, he has another trade in his inbox right now that he mentioned on Twitter, which is, I think it's Cooper Kupp.
I saw that.
For let's see, Pollard and McLaurin.
Yeah.
All right, Pollard doesn't mean anything to me. So this is McLaurin, Mrs. McLaurin versus
Cup.
So I mean, I don't know. I'm a Terry McLaurin fan, so I like him. Cooper Kupp though. See, Cooper Kupp's in they kind of drafted his replacement, the Rams, but Van Jefferson, right? Or did I say his name right?
Yep. You got his name right.
Okay. So I don't know. Cooper Kupp is I'm not a huge Cooper Kupp guy, but I know he's the man. So in fact, I got a Cooper Kupp jersey.
Uh-oh.
But it's his old fucking number. So it's a big, so it's, I can't believe he changed numbers. Did you hear this? Cooper Kupp changed his number?
No.
Yeah, he changed his number. I don't know why, but I don't know. The safe play is Cooper Kupp right now.
Yeah, for sure.
He's the safe play. I mean, there's no more Cooks and there's no more Gurley. Goff they're like best BFFs, right?
Yep.
Goff and Kupp. So where you have the uncertainty of the Redskins, like who even knows what the Redskins are? So you're going on, so Terry versus Cooper. I just talked myself into the Cooper Kupp side, I think. Yeah. Unless the guy's got Zeke and wants Pollard, but again, I'm not really a handcuff guy, but I don't care about Pollard.
Yeah, I'm guessing if this is the same league and Jerry took over an orphan, he probably has Kupp, and he would be getting Kupp. Okay. Jerry, I mean, I would do it for this reason. I think I like McLaurin more, but I think Cooper Kupp has more value right now. So if I'm not sure how good or bad this orphan was when you picked it up, but week 3, week 4, if this orphan was pretty bad and you're looking like you're on your way to 101, I think Cooper Kupp will fetch a good price, especially if he starts 2020 like he started 2019.
He's a year removed also from that ACL.
From that ACL, which is another thing. I mean, he played that well the first 8 weeks of the season.
Yep.
Coming off of that ACL, and usually you don't really start getting back to form until about a year after the surgery and the recovery. So that might be a move where you turn around, you trade Cooper Kupp for picks, or a young stud in a pick and go on your way. And I mean, if you are contending, Cooper Kupp's a good guy to have on your team. So really, he's kind of multifaceted in that regard, where unless he just bombs the first month of the season and, kind of tanks his value. But Jerry has Zeke and he's trading away Pollard.
So the Pollard's the sweetener.
And even in that regard, I mean, earlier this offseason, I picked up a few shares of Pollard, even in leagues that I didn't have Zeke in, just because, if Zeke goes down, and I'm not saying Pollard is Zeke. Pollard's not good. But he, in the limited snaps that he got, he proved himself pretty well. And he's not a guy that's going to fade into the background. And honestly, there's
weed on this podcast, or I smoke weed on the podcast.
You can now.
I don't.
And that's why they call it the Hot Sauce Podcast.
Yeah, we got to get it. Yeah, okay. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
you're good.
You're all good. So
I'm excited. I'm happy to be here.
But no, I like you getting Kupp. Jerry, you said it's not a bad team. So if you're getting Kupp, I think you're making that your team that much better. What do you think, Bill? I mean, you're kind of an insider in this league. So what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, value-wise, I think that's a good trade for Jerry. I mean, if you just look at it, Kupp is worth more than McLaurin and Pollard, value-wise. I mean, if you want to go young, I stick with Pollard and McLaurin probably because I don't think the value difference is that great. But it's not like Kupp's old. He's 26. He's gonna be 27 right at the start of the season. So, like, that's that. And I think it's a good trade either way. I would probably do the Kupp side if I felt like I could make a playoffs.
Yeah. So, Jerry, I think all three of us went Kupp here. So if it's still sitting in your inbox, I hope it's not for much longer. You hit the accept and you make yourself a brand new owner of a Cooper Kupp share. So helping Jerry out. You know what? Jerry's such a good guy. I'm glad we could do it.
I mean, shit, we should just make him a co-host.
Hey, Jerry.
I will. You know what?
Hit the DMs.
If Jerry's interested, and I know he's in Ireland too. I think Jerry lives in Ireland. Is that true?
Yep.
I will send him this Cooper Kupp jersey, still in the plastic if he wants.
Wow.
If he makes this deal, he's got a screenshot the accepted deal, and I will and tell him to, and Jerry, DM me your info, and I will send this Cooper Kupp jersey your way, buddy.
Jerry,
extra large.
Not only are you getting Cooper Kupp, but you're getting a Cooper Kupp jersey. I mean, Larry's not even in the league. He just sweetened the deal somehow. So
I'm dead serious, Jerry. I love you so much, my man. You send me your info. I'll send you that Cooper Kupp jersey.
That's awesome, and that's what I love about the timeline. Sometimes the unexpected will happen. So this next one here, I put on here because I have a feeling that I might lose my mind when responding to this question, but this is from the Fantasy Superflexer at SuperflexerFF. Tell me how to respond to this paraphrase trade inquiry. Hey man, I'm interested in DJ Moore. Don't have any picks into the third round, and my first next year, and the young players and studs I have on my team are off limits. Can't wait to see what you send me. Bill, I'm going to let you go first. I'm going to go last on this because I'm going to have to try to compose myself, and I need as much time as humanly possible. So Bill, what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, the way it's worded, it almost makes me think that it was like one of his buddies just fucking with him.
Right.
And so, like, I kind of laugh at it when I see it because that's like such a you're painted into such a corner that there's no way to respond to that. You know what I mean? Like literally nothing's available, but I have a third rounder. Like how, I mean, I almost think this is kind of a just, tweet. Like there's just no way that somebody could, but let's address the underlying situation when people like kind of limit the players you're available, but they're going after your studs.
Mm-hmm.
I just calmly say, I'll need an elite player back if I'm moving one of my elite players, and I'm done with it. Like It's just very easily resolved. I think that some people are just screwing with others, just trying to have some fun. Other people might be new and not understanding values yet. So I just give people the benefit of the doubt or laugh with them. And whatever. Like it's not a big deal to me. So it's just one of those things where it's like one sentence saying that about I'm not moving an elite player for a third round pick plus pretty much ends it.
What about you, Larry?
I'm surprised you didn't try to throw in like a 23rd first, because those are starting to pop up. I don't know if you guys have seen that happening lately.
Well, I mean, and yeah, that league's going to be around for sure.
Yes.
I mean, DJ Moore's he's a top 15 overall. He's like top 15 overall. Like what is he, like the wide receiver 3 or 4 or something like that? Like in a startup?
Probably for some people, yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
how else do you respond to that? Really,
It's. I mean, yeah. It's. I don't know. I usually this is where I say, I insert hand job here, a minimum at least. That's all you got. If your best offer is a third and some other stuff, then we need to take this offline.
Right. And then people will be bitching about collusion,
Listen, you better
collusion.
It might.
You better have the softest hands in the world if that's part of the deal. Now look, Bill brought up a good point that I didn't think about when I initially read this and put it on the show sheet. If this is a buddy of yours, all right, you laugh about it. Hi, you're funny. You're a funny guy. If this is legitimate, and Bill was getting ready to say, I don't think this, this happens that often, but unfortunately, there are either bad players or assholes in every league. Like it just.
Well, let's rephrase that: bad players and assholes in every league.
Correct. So if I get sent this, I do one of two things. If I'm in a good mood that day, maybe I got myself a hand job and I'm in a good mood. I counter that trade and I put like his best 5 guys on one side.
Ah, you're that guy. That's you, huh?
And then put DJ Moore on the other side. And then if he accidentally accepts it, sorry guy, didn't realize you weren't reading the stuff you were putting out there. If I have not had a good day, I channel my inner Shane Manila, and I go, dude, what the fuck are you thinking? Like, you're not getting DJ Moore for like a third this year, and like Larry said, a 2023 first, and MVS or something like that, or Geronimo Allison. Like, get the fuck out of here.
On the Lions now, by the way. Don't forget Geronimo Allison's on the Lions.
Listen, I throw Bill Lions love all the time. All the time.
Are you a Lions fan, Bill?
I am a former 20-year Lions season ticket holder.
Holy moly. That's amazing. So you're the Thanksgiving, you're Thanksgiving guy.
Well, not anymore, because after they went 0-16, I said, so no, I don't give them my money anymore.
Smart man. So yeah, like if this dude is your buddy, just laugh about it, have a beer.
Did I say 16-0?
No, you said 0-16.
Okay.
You got it right.
I'd like to say something about guys that get all bent out of shape about trade offers, because
Josh,
it's
I'm one of those guys.
Well, no. You'll send back this is a topic. It's a common topic in the dynasty community. Is
right.
Do you put the guy on blast in the chat if you get a shitty offer? I'm not that guy. I like to keep it. I keep things between. I'm not the big. Here's the screenshot.
Right.
Look at this guy. Here's the trade find. Here's the trade calculator. It says that how ridiculous this offer is. Listen, first of all, you have to start somewhere. Shane sends me and Shane have made many deals that start off trash. Okay, so you send me a trash. Shane sends me a trash offer. I send him a trash offer. Which trash offers? That's what. When I get a message in my inbox from my fantasy league, and I'm just first thing I'm just like, oh, here we go. That's the first thing I say when I get a trade offer, because I'm like, oh, here we go, because there's no way it's gonna be. It's no way it's gonna be a good offer. It's because everything. The smash accept happens like 2% of the time.
Right.
You're not going to it, and it's all. And so me and Shane have done many deals where he and Shane Manila, blah blah blah, Dynasty Trades HQ. He's the man. He's awesome. And me and him are in a handful of leagues together. And the reason I'm talking about him right now is because he loves to trade. I love to trade. It starts out with a bullshit crap, nothing offer. And then you just kind of, you work your way up the mountain. You're just like, boom, okay, I know you like this guy. You sent me shit for him. Okay, now I know you like this guy, so I'm going to send you a shit offer for this guy. And then we're going to work our way around it where we both agree on. And normally that's how it works, really. So I've been in leagues where you send an offer and then the guy, you get this like high and mighty response as if like, oh, how dare you like approach me with this trade offer. We're so important in life. Give me a break, man. Just be like, I mean, most of the time, one of my, I guess, textbook responses is not close. Sometimes I'll just be like, not close, and I'll just send it back. So, I mean, I'm good at, it depends what I'm doing. It depends how busy I am, really, to quite honestly. I'll send an offer, or I'll respond to an offer. Sometimes I'll write like a sentence, or I'll write like, blah, blah, blah. But most of the time it's just like not close, or I'll counter. It's either not close or I'll counter. I'm never gonna be a super dick. I've done the. There's nothing wrong with sending the. In fact, I've given that advice. I commission a league where one of the GMs messaged me, was like, "Hey, this guy keeps sending me shit offers. I don't know how to respond." Like, he was trying to get Mike Evans off this guy, and he was offering like Dallas Goedert for Mike Evans. And I was just like, my response to him was, send him one of those offers. So to your point, I mean, that's a good way to, okay, this guy know. And that's another thing. You also got to feel out the guys in your league too. You don't know who the hell you're dealing with. Some guy blew, like one of the guys that I ended up being in a league with. Again, starting out with it, and I make trades all the time. So I sent him a deal, and he jumps into our HQ chat, which is a big deal, the Patreon chat, and he screenshots my offer to him, and he just starts going off on me, and I'm like, Jesus, I'm like, dude, how about a counter? Why did you just take this, screenshot it, and run, put me on blast? Like, you didn't even you didn't even like give me a response. Just be cool. It's not that. I mean, if I get if I send a trash offer, and then I get the corresponding trash counter, then I know, okay, this guy. You got to feel out your league mates, okay, this guy knows what he's doing, or, he knows that I'm sending him a crap offer. Okay, now I know that. Now we can start fresh. We broke the ice, it's like that sort of thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Go ahead, Bill. No, I mean,
him and his tea, Bill and his tea over there.
Here's my thing. I have slowly been able to get out of this because I have started to get in more leagues with people I know.
Right.
This is more of like, hey, rando Twitter league I'm in. I don't know any of these guys. Then I get an offer like that. Like, Larry, you and I have had trade talks before. We've gone back and forth. If you send me a trash trade offer, I'm just like, I'm either just going to say, dude, I don't want this guy, or this is what I would need, yes, or just reject it outright. But I know you. So I kind of know that that's your starting point. You're just trying to feel me out. You want to see where I'm at in the situation. And I'm cool with that. But like some guy that I don't know goes, hey, I want DJ Moore, but I don't plan on giving you anything but a bunch of trash. Yeah, I don't know that guy. That guy is getting my wrath. Like,
that's hilarious because I'm the complete opposite. Like, if you sent me a shit offer, I'm just hammering you with the shittiest offer ever. But but if I'm in a league with people I don't know, I don't know their level of skill.
Well, there's that too. Yeah, you have to respect that. That's important.
So that's kind of like where I'm not gonna put them on blast, or I'm not gonna like rip into them because. But if like somebody that like we deal with all the time, and then I get a really shit offer, I'm gonna be like, dude, what the hell's going on here? So we all react differently to different situations. So there's no right or wrong answer. But like, I usually try to give people a benefit of the doubt. By the way, Jerry did accept that trade.
All right,
there we go.
He likes free shit.
Who doesn't?
I'm excited to pay the postage on that.
Oh my god.
That's good though. No, Jerry's great, man. I'm a big fan. You got to join Jerry. We got another eliminator. I don't know if you're in the Larry Monkey eliminator, but we're doing a hot sauce pod eliminator that's happening right now. So it is your duty to join the hot sauce pod eliminator. once that
Look at
becomes
this-
available.
look at
John
this
Bosch
guy.
is working on that the next time. I was texting John Bosch right into this pod. I'm sitting there laying next to my daughter who's falling asleep. She's 4.5. And he's just like, you got a couple more. You want to roll it over? You want to do and I'm just like, I'm like, fall asleep already. I gotta run down here and jump online here. So
Now,
I was texting. I've been texting. I sent him a few messages. We've been going back and forth. I don't know why I'm in such a big rush. I feel like when you have to get these things like wrapped up right away before they kind of like slip away. But yeah, Jerry, get in the hot sauce pot eliminator as well. That's another requirement. But no, you got the
You
jersey,
didn't read
buddy.
the fine print beforehand.
listen, Jerry, don't listen to this man. He's hawking his own eliminators on our show. You got to get in the timeline eliminator first when we put out the
getting in
tweet
the
tomorrow.
timeline.
Oh no, there's a rivalry building.
No, man. That's awesome. Obviously, like we said before.
I'll get into yours, Larry.
Yeah, for sure.
There are 3 guys right now that are going to get into the timeline eliminator right here on the screen. I'm excited about it. So yeah, the eliminators are great. They're amazing. They're
so much fun.
I mean, they're best ball, and I mean, if you're not familiar with best ball, it's just the draft. That's it. Best ball in this format at least. You do the draft, and then you just forget about it. You check in once in a while. You see if you still and in this particular format, the lowest score is eliminated. It's that simple. You're chopped off, and there's 17 guys or 16. I don't know if it's 17 or 16, but whatever.
I think
it's the
17.
whole season, and the lowest score gets chopped. I actually won one eliminator last year. Nice. And what's amazing about the eliminators is that the settings, you don't have to draft a quarterback or a running back or a wide receiver.
All flex,
0
right?
or 2. You have to start 8 guys. It pulls your 8 best scores, your 8 guys, or your 8 best scores, kickers and defenses if you want. It pulls the 8 highest scores out of your roster, and that's the score that goes up against the other, people in your league. So, it's the eliminators are great.
Yeah, and they are great, and we're going to talk a little bit more about them at the end of the show. No, it's all good, man. But there's one thing I do want to say about this whole trade thing before we move on to the last question of the night. I'm very anti putting someone on blast. Like, I'm not to screenshot it and put it on Twitter or put it in the group chat or group me, whatever you use, because I don't know. It's weird. I almost look at trade talks kind of like a private thing. Like,
yes.
And I'm not trying to put, because let's just say you're trying to get Saquon Barkley off of me and you give me a trash trade offer. You might move on to the CMC owner or the Dalvin Cook owner, and maybe you can get them with a trash trade offer and get that guy on your team. And I almost don't want to mess up the relationship, because I'll be a little pissed off about it, but the next day I'll forget about it. I'll be like, whatever, shit happens, and I'll move on. I don't want to ruin a relationship for later on where maybe that guy is not going to be in the playoffs, and he has a couple guys. I'm making a playoff push, and I want to shoot in there, and I don't want to ruin that relationship.
You never want to burn a bridge.
Nope.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw that out there, because I don't want people to think that I am I would put someone on blast. It's just not my thing. So last question of the night, and we'll make it a good one. This is from Addison Hayes at AmazeHayes _. What wide receivers are you selling in Dynasty right now? So I'll go first, since I actually did a little a little research. Bill says I never do research.
Well, hey, you did more than me.
I research shit. My answer is Michael Thomas. Listen, I think this is max value for him. I mean, he got 186 targets last year. Like, we can't expect that again. I mean, they signed Emmanuel Sanders. You know, they still have Alvin Kamara. They still have Jared Cook. I mean, there's weapons on that team, and I
A
can't
healthy
believe.
Kamara is important.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't believe that. And they even drafted Adam Troutman, if I'm correct about that.
Yes. He's
You
a
know-
rising rookie tight end. That's kind of
And you know, they have,
tight end class.
you know, there might be more weapons on that team this year than Michael Thomas has seen since he's been in the league on a Saints team. So, you know, and let's face it, if we're talking dynasty, we don't know. I mean, this could be Drew Brees' last year, and
Yes.
who comes in? You know, if it's Jameis Winston, maybe you go, okay, they can
that'd be
still connect and do some things. But what if Jameis Winston has a kind of a 5-game tryout like Teddy Bridgewater did this year, and he lights it up? You know, are the Saints then going to turn around and pay him $25 million to stick around, or do they go the Taysom Hill route, or do they try to draft a rookie? I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty in that QB situation past 2020. So for those reasons, I'm going Michael Thomas. What about you, Bill?
Yeah, right. Lightning round. Bill, you're up.
Okay, I will sell Stephon Diggs, and I actually buy into the Michael Thomas just because the value is never going to be higher, and so I can agree with that. Diggs is actually one of my guys, but it's actually gotten to the point where his value, he may actually be a buy now compared to where he was. I think that the guys I'm buying that I'm selling are the young guys that might be slightly overhyped now. I'm not sure I ever see Deebo Samuel, and I know you love him, but I'm not sure I see him like taking that level to an elite wide receiver. And I mean, you and I even discussed this where we think he's going to settle into that like wide receiver 2 range.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you think it's going to be higher up in the, 15 range, maybe.
Yeah.
I think it's probably later. And with that being the case, like, I just think that the value's higher than what his performance will be. Probably you could say the same for a few of the other guys. I think AJ Brown might be a sell right now. I'm just not sure the volume's there for him to truly blow up. And so like these second year guys that already popped are the guys that I'm a little worried about this year because the hype's gotten bigger than what their performance will probably be.
For sure. What about you, Larry?
Okay, so I did some homework here when I saw this, and I've made in the last 30 days, 35 days. Well, okay, so I've traded I traded for Kenny Galladay. Okay, so let me give you my Keenan Allen. I sold Jared Goff and Keenan Allen for Fitzpatrick, 201, 202, 203, and the 208. Now, with those picks, I mean, those are 3. I mean, and I was like, do I make this trade? And then you're like, you're not supposed to, you don't want to trade like a stud or this or that. But I was like, those picks are like, that's like wide receiver heaven right now,
Yeah.
The top of the second.
Yeah. So I ended up getting. Oh, Bill, I'm going to talk so you don't have to edit this right now. I don't even.
Did you get T. Higgins?
I ended up giving. I gave away Goff. I have Lamar Jackson in this league. I gave away Goff, so I picked up Joe Burrow as just like my backup quarterback. It's a 1 QB league.
Okay.
Burrow, T. Higgins, and Pittman. So I got Burrow, T. Higgins, and Pittman for Keenan Allen.
Okay.
Basically, in a 1
like
QB
that.
league. Why not, right?
Yeah.
And again, there's the allure of the draft itself, which adds value to a trade for me at least. I love picks. I'm a picks guy. So I love being when the draft starts. I love wheeling and dealing and making especially in this year is with all how deep everything was. You're just like, oh man, do I want Pittman? Do I want Mims? Brian Edwards is like the end of the second. You're like, holy shit, that guy. So yeah, that was that one. That was my Keenan Allen trade. I also traded during that draft. I traded Anthony Miller and picked up Jacoby Myers and Hayden Hurst, and I had no tight ends at all. So I was just
I don't care about
Miller.
Yeah.
This is why Miller. This is perfect for the segment. Miller is a sell for me. Anthony Miller. I know he's got some hype right now.
He did really well towards the end of the season last year, but
yeah, and he's on the mysterious Chicago Bears, and who the hell knows how that offense is going to play out. He's playing second fiddle right now to A-Rob, who may or may not be around next year. Who knows?
I hope not.
But
everyone hates David Montgomery. It's just like the whole their Chicago's kind of a mess on offense. I mean, they should have their shit together. Who signs Jimmy Graham to like a big time contract? Right? That doesn't make any sense.
It's been an
Isn't Jimmy Graham on the
odd
Bears?
it's just yes, he is. It's such a weird the whole situation because I think like Montgomery's a buy. I think that A-Rob's a buy. I think that Miller could be if you trust his health.
Right.
Jimmy Graham, no, but yeah, no, I get it. Like, I mean, the health is actually my biggest concern with Anthony Miller. I think just because that shoulder, I think is going to be popping out for the rest of his career.
And also when you're in a handful of leagues, I don't even know. I'm not in too many leagues. I'm probably in about 10 leagues, and maybe that's a lot for some people, but I have some Anthony Miller shares. So you have to think about that also.
Yep.
Sometimes you want to diversify, your portfolio. So I don't want Anthony Miller everywhere. I'd rather just have him in like one or two spots. He's that type of guy for me.
Yep.
Well, I think this brings up kind of an interesting paradox, if you will, because we talk about A-Rob, and I'm in that camp. I think A-Rob is a buy that man. He is criminally
He's always been a buy, hasn't he?
He's criminally underrated. But then we start talking about, Anthony Miller could be a guy. We start talking about, David Montgomery. But then we talk about these quarterbacks, and we're like, it's Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles, and we're like, well, they're bums. They can't do it. So we almost have to rectify the two. Either Miller and A-Rob and Montgomery and Cole Kmet and all these guys that we're saying are going to be good, but then we also then have to say that either Mitch Trubisky or Nick Foles, maybe the combination of both of them, will be good as well. So, I mean, we have to think about our biases sometimes when we go into stuff like that. And that's kind of what we're always doing in Dynasty. We're kind of, always evaluating and reevaluating and trying to look not only at the information we have at hand, but look at ourselves as well and figure out what we're doing right and wrong. And I think on that note, we're gonna bust out of here. Larry, man, it was a pleasure having you on. Thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. Dude, like we said, we're in HQ1 together. It's always a good time. You're the champ right now. I'm coming for the crown in 2020. So we'll see what happens, but appreciate it. Tell everybody where they can find you, what you're doing, where you're at.
Pleasure has been mine. This is awesome. You guys are great. Some good stuff. I was looking forward to coming on. You can find me on the Dynasty. You can find me on Twitter at FFLarryMonkey, and you can find me. I host a pod called the Dynasty Hot Sauce Podcast with my really, really great HQ1. What would you say? My HQ1 brethren, I guess you could say. I mean, you're a part of that crew as well.
Yes, sir.
But we got Greg, we got Justin, and Brian. So you could, I want to drop Twitter handles. I'm not just listen to the Dynasty Hot Sauce podcast. I'll throw that around.
Yep.
You'll see it retweeted. Just go on Twitter, follow me. You'll see you'll see all that stuff. I mean, all the retweets and all the comments and stuff like that. But yeah,
For
man.
sure.
Yeah, that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, and again, Larry, appreciate you coming on. Obviously, if you're listening to us and you're not listening to the hot sauce, dude, you're not doing it right. Listen to the hot sauce.
We just started out. Let me just some context, and not to make everyone feel bad because they didn't hear about it. We are a relatively brand new pod. We have a we have a handful of episodes out. We have just started to bring on some guests because we kind of wanted to do things. We wanted to get things off the ground first before we started to bring on some guests. So yeah, man, looking forward to having you guys on. You'll be on. We're it's gonna be a lot. It's awesome, man. It's great just coming on and just talking about dynasty football and trades and strategy and all that stuff. But that we get into all that stuff and we have everyone is so smart in this community. As far as how they want to build their team and construct that roster and get into all the questions that go into that sort of thing. But yeah, sorry to interrupt.
No, it's all good, man. We were talking about it. We talked about it at the beginning and kind of in the middle of the episode. But the John Bosch eliminators are out there. Fantasy timeline. We're gonna send that tweet out tomorrow around noon. So keep your eyes open for it. Also, the hot sauce is gonna have their own. Join both. I mean, the money goes to a good cause. I mean, let's do it. We all
set it and forget it lineup. That's it.
Yeah, we all love the game, and throwing a few bucks to Fantasy Cares, it just makes it that much better. Just makes playing that much better. So do that, and on our way out, we want to thank everyone that was in the chat, whether you were on YouTube live, or I'm sorry, if you were on YouTube or if you were on Periscope. Jerry O'Shea was doing it up. V Dedge Jr. Hope I said it right. He was lighting it up as well. There were people jumping in and out the whole time. It's awesome. We love it. If you're watching on YouTube, remember to subscribe and hit the bell for the DAP network. It just lets you know when we're going live. So then you can just get that alert, jump on, and jump on with us. If you're listening to us in podcast form, we appreciate you guys too. You guys are great. You guys are what makes us us. And if you're listening to it on the podcast, remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and tell all your friends about it, because we just love reaching out to people, and we love giving our spin on things. So, Bill, after all of that's been said and done, I think we're out of here.
Late.
Deuces.